All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're diving into the September 2025 issue of KoreanWorld magazine, and we're going to use it as our personal guide to living in Singapore. So whether you're just thinking about making the move or you're already here, we're covering it all, from finding your community all the way to making those huge financial decisions.
So, have you ever really pictured it? What's life actually like in Singapore? Beyond the tourist spots. Whether you're brand new to the city or you've been here for years, there are always new layers to discover. So let's start with something fundamental, finding your hub.
Our first stop might actually surprise you, but trust me, it's one of the absolute best resources for getting settled in, the public library. And in Singapore, well, they are so much more than just a quiet place with books.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? The focus on community. See, anyone can just walk in and browse, but the real magic happens when you get a membership. And it's not just for citizens or permanent residents. If you're here on an employment pass or a dependent pass, you can get one too. It's basically your key to the city.
And they've made it unbelievably easy with the NLB mobile app. This thing is a total game changer. You can borrow ebooks, check out audiobooks, reserve a physical copy of something that's popular, and even book a study spot, all from your phone. And maybe the best part, your phone is your library card. You just scan a QR code. It's literally a library in your pocket.
So, what does that membership really get you? Well, it boils down to this number right here, 16. You can borrow 16 physical items, books, magazines, whatever. And you can borrow another 16 digital items, like ebooks and audiobooks at the same time. That is a ton of content you can have out at once.
And the value just keeps going. With your library account, which, remember, is free, you get access to platforms like Press Reader. We're talking over 7,000 newspapers and magazines from all over the world. The Economist, The Guardian, you name it. Plus, there are services like Canopy, which has this huge collection of amazing indie films and documentaries. All of it completely free.
Okay, so let's go from the quiet sanctuary of the library to the roaring pulse of the city itself. Because Singapore's cultural scene is a massive draw, just packed with world-class entertainment and incredible lifestyle events.
And speaking of world-class, just look at this. This is the concert lineup for the F1 Grand Prix weekend. I mean, come on. You've got K-pop legends G-Dragon and CL, rock icons like the Foo Fighters and the Smashing Pumpkins, and the one and only Elton John. It just goes to show you, no matter what you're into, there is always some massive event going on here. But hey, it's not all roaring engines and city lights. Singapore has this incredible other side, a balance with these amazing natural landscapes. You can totally escape the hustle on a trail like the historic rail corridor, walk literally among the treetops at the southern ridges, or catch a stunning sunrise at Sungay below. There's a whole different vibe to the city, just waiting for you to explore.
Okay, let's switch gears. From leisure and fun, we're going to turn to a much more serious topic, and it's one that's on the mind of pretty much every long-term resident: housing. And more specifically, that huge financial decision. Do you keep renting, or do you take the leap and buy a home?
To really dig into this, the magazine sets up a fascinating comparison. It asks this exact question. For a permanent resident, after 7 years in Singapore, what's actually the smarter financial move? To answer that, let's look at two real-world case studies they featured.
So the magazine breaks down the numbers and, wow, the difference is just staggering. The person who bought the condo, their property went up by $1.1 million. Plus, they saved over $600,000 in rent they didn't have to pay. The net result? A positive $1.45 million. Now the renter, they did pretty well with their investments, making $390K, but after you subtract 7 years of rent payments, they ended up in the red by $240,000.
And this bar chart just makes it crystal clear, doesn't it? A gain of over $1.4 million on one side and a loss of nearly $250,000 on the other. I mean, the outcomes could not be more different. So what on earth created this massive gap? Well, it all comes down to one really powerful financial concept.
The secret sauce here is a single word: leverage. See, when you buy a property, you're using a mortgage to control a very large asset, let's say a $2.6 million condo, with a much smaller amount of your own cash as a down payment. But here's the kicker. Any appreciation, any growth in value happens on the full value of that asset, not just the cash you put in. And that's what can absolutely supercharge the gains for a property owner, especially in a rising market.
You know, that whole discussion about using your savings to buy a house, it leads us perfectly into a critical piece of the financial puzzle in Singapore. If you really want to build a future here, you have got to understand the mandatory savings system. You've got to understand CPF.
So CPF stands for the Central Provident Fund. Now, a lot of people just call it a pension, but honestly, that's selling it short. It's really this comprehensive national system designed to help you pay for the three huge pillars of your life: your retirement, your housing, which we just talked about, and your healthcare.
Here's how it works. The money you contribute to CPF is split into 3 different accounts. First, there's your ordinary account, or OA. It gets 2.5% interest, and this is the one you can use for your housing down payment. Then there's the special account, or SA, which is purely for retirement and earns a higher 4% interest. And finally, you have your MediSave account, or MA, which also earns 4% and, as the name suggests, is for medical bills and insurance.
So, what's the bottom line for residents? Here are the key things to remember. First, it's mandatory for all permanent residents and citizens. Second, that ordinary account is a super powerful tool for buying a home. And finally, and this is a really crucial point for anyone who's an expat, if you ever decide to leave Singapore for good and you give up your PR status, you can withdraw all of your CPF savings.
So after we've gone through all of this, the libraries, the concerts, the big financial strategies, the magazine leaves us with one last powerful question. What is true success? Is it just about the financial win from a smart investment? Or is it something more? It's a really good question to think about as you start to map out your own life here.